Begin tonight with breaking news. President Biden is on his way home, declaring he did what he came to do during his historic summit here in Geneva. During a tense 3.5-hour sit-down with Vladimir Putin, Mr. Biden says he laid out basic rules of the road, warning the Russian leader in stark terms that the consequences of future ransomware attacks against the U.S. and telling him human rights violations will only shrink his stature internationally. And while the men used words such as positive and constructive to describe their talks in the room, in back-to-back news conferences, it was clear there was little agreement, with Mr. Putin taking swipes at the U.S. for the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, and Mr. Biden unloading on a reporter for suggesting he was confident the Russian leader will change. Well, tonight, a source tells CBS News that the president raised every issue he wanted raised, but that the real test is if there's a path forward from today's summit. CBS's Ed O'Keefe was in the room as Mr. Biden took questions and has new reporting tonight on that cybersecurity warning to the Russians. But first, CBS's Nancy Cordes has been traveling with the president and is going to lead off our coverage from here in Geneva. Good evening, Nancy.
Nora, tonight, a top White House aide aboard Air Force One tells us the president is feeling good about how it all went and that the talks will continue at a lower level. The question now is, was this gamble in Geneva worth it? Will Mr. Putin keep the commitments he made here?
I did what I came to do.
The surprisingly cordial summit started with pleasantries and a handshake and ended with praise from Putin.
I would say he is very constructive. He is very balanced.
The tensest moments involved reporters and Russian security.
Stop pushing!
The two leaders and a handful of aides plowed through a long list of disputes, starting with cybersecurity.
I told President Putin that we need to have some basic rules of the road that we can all abide by.
In the wake of crippling ransomware attacks on U.S. businesses, Mr. Biden gave Putin a list of 16 critical infrastructure sectors, including energy and water systems, that need to be off limits to Russian hackers.
If in fact they violate these basic norms, we will respond. Cyber. He knows.
Putin agreed to work with the president.
I think that's extremely important.
But he also claimed most hackers are in the U.S.
What does the state of Russia have to do with that?
President Biden also pushed Putin to release two former Marines imprisoned in Russia.
I pointed out, you want to get American business to invest, let them go. Change the dynamic. Because American businessmen, we're ready to show up. They don't want to hang around in Moscow.
Putin sounded positive.
We discussed that. There could be some compromise that we enter into.
Russia expert Fiona Hill attended President Trump's summit with Putin. Was this a different Vladimir Putin in any way than the one you saw in Helsinki in 2018?
He was a lot less cavalier, and he did seem that he was genuinely trying to move the dial forward somewhat to next set of meetings.
But she notes he's broken promises many times before. President Biden said the true test will come in 3 to 6 months.
I'm not sitting here saying because the president and I agreed that we would do these things that all of a sudden it's going to work. I'm not saying that.
He grew testy when asked if he was too optimistic.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident he'll change behavior. What do you do over time? When did I say I was confident? You don't understand that, you're wrong.
By the time he got to the airport, he had cooled off.
I owe my last question an apology. I shouldn't have been such a wise guy with the last answer I gave.
And Nancy joins us here. Incredible to see the president react like that. But in that meeting, we did hear that President Biden raised the issue of human rights, the poisoning and jailing of dissidents and opponents. Did he make any headway?
Not really. That turned out to be a low point, Nora. Putin just tried to turn it back on the U.S., arguing that our government is the one silencing dissent by arresting rioters who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. President Biden called that a ridiculous comparison, noting there's a difference between peaceful protest in Moscow and criminal activity in D.C. that left a Capitol policeman dead, Nora.
Nancy Cordes, thank you.